Greetings and blessings to you all. Welcome to the Word Explained. I am Brother IC. Since Monday, we have been looking verse by verse at the meanings that are to be interpreted from the sayings and the writings of Psalms 1. On Monday, we covered verse 1. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. Tuesday, we did verse 2, which states, But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. Wednesday, we did, and he shall, number 3, and he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season, his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. And yesterday we covered verse 4, which states, The ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind driveth away. Today we will now look at the meaning of verse 5 and explain it accordingly, that you shall have a better understanding of what is being said. Let us look back on what verse 5 says. Therefore the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. Let me ask you a question, my brothers and my sisters. Has anyone in the history of their lifetime ever seen, let us say, a president of the United States on the White House lawn making his address to the nation or whatever he's doing, with the reporters all around him, the security personnel, and then out of the blue you see a beggar or a homeless man casually open the gates of the White House and walk up to the president to take a seat in that company? Unless God is in the midst, that will never happen. Reason being, the instant that any one of us who dwell in this society that is so, shall we say, caught up with appearances, turn up to an event in an appropriate manner of dress, or you can say attire if you want, immediately that person is looked upon with scorn and derision. And if one is not even too careful, there will be a couple of people in that gathering who will call the security personnel or the one who's in charge and ask the security or the person in charge to, evict that person from the gathering because they're not enhancing the gathering with their appearance, with their mode of dress or their general comportment. Their appearance to that gathering, it's like a disgrace upon those who have went through the trouble to get properly attired and suited up and dressed up for the occasion, with all the necessary regalia that is befitting the occasion, so the men in their suits, and not cheap suits either, well-fitting suits with their dress shoes and dress socks and dress shirts and ties, and the ladies in their gowns and all of that. Because even in the female side, let's use the same White House event there. You're not going to see someone in that gathering, a girl in her little short shorts and halter top. No. That is for another gathering that is appropriate for short shorts and halter tops. Are you with me? So just as how these people, because they are not worthy by their status, such as the beggar or the homeless man, to be welcomed at such gatherings of the elite, for want of a better word, the elite of society. And just like how in that same gathering at the White House, the girl in her short shorts would not be accepted because her mode of dress is not suitable for the occasion or conducive for the occasion, so it is that where the judgment of God is concerned, the Bible states already that God is the sole judge of all. God is the judge of all. And the ungodly means someone who is against God, who has nothing to do with God in thoughts, words, or deeds. They do everything that is contrary to the laws of God. Satan is very ungodly. He is the father of ungodliness, just as how he is also listed in the Bible as the father of all lies. For he was the one who started all of this ungodliness. So he's also the father of ungodliness. And so, being against God in every way causes one to become ungodly. How can the ungodly stand before the judge, the mighty and holy judge of all? No. They can't even kneel. They're not even worthy to be in the presence of God to be judged. Right? So therefore, it is impossible for the ungodly to be able to stand in the judgment whenever it comes. For they are not worthy at any point whatsoever to be in any form of congregation where God's presence is. For once a person is ungodly, anything that has to do with God, anything concerning God, immediately overwhelms them and drives away from them all inclinations and intentions that they might even have entertained, however slightly, from joining that company. Let's look at it another way, my brothers and my sisters. If you know, for example, that you are not a pickpocket, you are an honest, fair-minded, and balanced individual who tries to do unto his neighbor as best as possible what you would like your neighbor to do unto you. You love your neighbor as how you would love yourself. And you know that you're not a pickpocket. Would you be seen walking in the company of a known pickpocket? Would you want to be seen walking or even conversing in the company of a den of thieves? And you know you're not a thief? No, it is impossible. Because the stance and principles that you have taken and maintained in your life will prevent you, morally and otherwise, from wanting to be associated with any form of criminality whatsoever, when you know deep down within yourself that you are not a criminal. Do you understand what I'm getting at, my brothers and my sisters? So it is where the man who is ungodly will never be able to stand in the judgment, because the judgment is of God, not of the ungodly. So, by the very nature of his behavior, by being ungodly, he is unworthy to be in the judgment before God. Let's look on the next part. Nor sinners in the congregation of the righteousness. I have said to you, my brothers and my sisters, in previous discussions on this very same psalm, I believe it was either in the first one or the second verse that was being discussed, I had made it clear to you that like attracts like. And water seeks its own level. And I also made the analogy of one never seen a righteous man. You will never see a righteous man walking with a thief. So it is, my brothers and my sisters, with sinners in the congregation of the righteousness. A man will always seek the company of those who think like him, not necessarily toe to toe and point to point, but someone, for example, who loves racing cars is more times, 9 times out of 10, going to have many friends in his circle who will be lovers of racing cars also. If he loves basketball, then he will also have a few basketball friends. But the one that stands out more is the one that will give him more friends of like-minded intentions. So those who think about, let us say, religion, which, as you know, is the theoretic concept of divine principles, divine meaning of God. A person who thinks in a Protestant way is drawn to the Protestant church. A person who thinks in a Pentecostal way is drawn to the Pentecostal teachings. A person who thinks in the Catholic vein will be drawn to the Catholic religion. The person who thinks as a Lutheran and then discovers that the Lutheran teaching is similar to what he has been seeking all the days of his life will be attracted to the Lutheran. Do you follow me, my brothers and my sisters? Like attracts like. It is not I who said so, it is the law of physics. Okay? So, coming back to this, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. If like truly attracts like, then where will it be that someone who is constantly sinning against God can ever hope to stand up beside those and be in the company of those who have spent their lives glorifying God and living a clean and purified life to the glory and honor of God? It will just not make sense. It's like a rich man and a beggar in the same banquet line. It is basically impossible unless God, as I've said before, is in the midst of it. You will never go to any of those formal fancy banquets and see a beggar dancing on the floor in his raggedy clothes and his raggedy shoes, if he has any, while everyone else around is dressed to the nines. It is impossible, my brothers and my sisters. So just like how you will not see scenes like these of the rich rubbing shoulders with the poor in the same banquet line at fancy state dinners or whatever, so it is. And we can put it another way, you're not going to see the beggar in a $12,000 plate dinner banquet. You know, you go to the banquet and you contribute $12,000 and you get these fancy meals and fancy drinks, right? You're not going to see a beggar walk in and plunk down his $12,000 and say, okay, where's my seat? I paid my money. No, he has better things to do with his money in his eyes. So the sinners in the congregation of the righteous is basically water and oil not being able to be mixed. And that is why like attracts like. The congregation of the righteous will always seek people who are like-minded. And those who are righteous and think of righteousness and desire to live in righteousness will seek always to congregate as righteous people. Sinners will congregate with each other. A thief will congregate with a thief, and wherever you are in the world, there are certain communities that exist in every country where if you go to one section of town, certain laws are upheld on behalf of those who try to live decently and in a civil manner in the eyes of society. And if you go to a next side of town, that same part, wherever you are in the world, as I've said before, it exists in every country, and I challenge anyone to prove me wrong. when you go to that other section of town where the criminals are, you will find and see that there are things that take place there to uphold and give credence to the criminal's behavior, which they cannot get away with on the side of town that has people who morally display civility to each other and have laws in place to protect those who seek to uphold their moral compass. So if the thief goes over into the neighborhood that seeks to be decent, he will be dealt with as a thief, he will be pronounced as a thief, and he will be prosecuted as a thief. And if the person who is seeking moral upliftment and decency goes into the criminal neighborhood, as long as that criminal is around his criminal friends, the person who is decent, who might have been offended by the actions of the criminal, will never get the right, because criminality or sinning, right, does not allow righteousness to take a stance nor a foothold in their lives. Are you with me, my brothers and sisters? Praise God. So therefore, like, as I've said more than once in this very video, attracts like. Water seeks its own level. And whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he surely reap. So, the ungodly will never ever be seen in the presence of the godly, which is the same as what you'd call the congregation of the righteous. And there is no ungodly man who can make a judgment of righteousness against anyone, because he is not of God. He is not speaking with God's authority. He is not living or acting out anything on God's behalf. He's doing it on behalf of the father of all lies, Satan. And there's no way that an ungodly man can be in the company. Therefore, my brothers and my sisters in Christ, let us endeavor to live a life that makes us worthy to stand in the judgment whenever that takes place, to the glory of God through his holy Son Jesus the Christ. And let us try to live a life that is pleasing unto God, that we can always stand in the congregation of the righteousness, praising and glorifying God forevermore through his holy Son Jesus the Christ. This is Brother IC speaking to you from the Word Explained. God bless you all till we speak again.